everybody, it's Romania Black, and we are on episode 16 of Spy Family. And yeah, so the last episode was really good. We concluded everything. We got Bond is now a part of the family, as he should be. And so everything was just like, it was so wholesome and wonderful, and yet there was this like little touch of angst, right? Because Loid just can't escape the notion that, you know, this is all just a mission, and once it's over, this family that we've spent, you know, the last 15 episodes becoming attached to and loving is going to dissolve. And I have a feeling, though, that this series, considering it's an ongoing manga, I have a feeling that either one of two things are going on. And I don't want manga spoilers, obviously, but I feel like either the entire series is going to be them doing this mission and it's not going to get resolved till the very end of the series, or there's going to be a turning point where they do resolve the mission and then somehow they end up like becoming a family that goes on other covert missions together, and the cat comes out of the bag, Yor finds out about Loid they all find out about Anya, and things get crazy. But I don't know if it's that point in the manga yet, or if it's going to be something that will come down the pipe way later on. But I don't want them to get broken up, so no. This series rides this very delicate line because, like, from the start of the season, it's been really wholesome and sweet and, like, funny, but it, you know, hasn't taken itself too seriously, and then it slowly starts to incorporate those more serious elements. It's like, ah! And I love Spy Family because it juggles that line really well. It balances it very cleanly and succinctly. So I want them to keep that, but also they're incorporating more serious elements as we go. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, so I actually just watched episode 15 a few days ago. I'm watching this a little bit early because I've got to be out of town this weekend, and so I won't be able to see the comments for episodes 15 and 14 until I get back. And so there aren't any comments for this episode, but if I see any come out for the episodes for the future one for episode 17, then I'll definitely let y'all know. But yeah, so I'm really excited though. We finished an arc, we're starting a new one. Where do we go to from here? It's either going to be one of two things. Either it's going to just fully go into the next arc, or it's going to be like a transitional episode where we're gearing up for the next arc and moving from one to the other. Or it could be filler. That's the thing about this series. If it's filler, I've not been able to tell, and that's kind of crazy. And the thing of it is, I don't want to be able to tell. That is the one nice thing about Spy Family, is that it's so consistent from start to finish that you really don't know what a filler episode is and what isn't. I mean, if you delve deep enough and think about the plot, you could maybe discern that it's a bonus chapter they've animated or whatever. But I like that about it. I like that I hate filler episodes, and the fact that I've not hated a filler episode for Spy Family speaks volumes. So with that being said, I'm really excited to see what all we get out of this series for this episode today. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed the reaction and discussion, but let's not waste any more time. We're going to start episode 16 of Spy Family, and we're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. Okay, this was adorable. And so stinking cute. Okay, they feel like they were, again, this is like a transitional episode, right? This is a transitional episode. It felt like an in-between arcs, right? It felt like, especially the Frankie one felt like a bonus chapter, like Frankie's the informant's great romance plan. It feels like, and that felt like a bonus chapter. And then Yor's kitchen thing felt like another bonus. These felt like two bonus chapters that they were like, okay, we're going to make an episode out of them because the content is hilarious and adorable, but also driving home two major important things that this series, that Loid is angstily giving us as if we could forget. One is the fact that Yor and Loid don't really delve into their private lives very much. And Loid is starting to realize that, oh, hey, you don't really know a lot about Yor and what she does on her off time. Didn't really think about that when we got married. It just was very convenient. So I thought going into this episode that it was actually her going on an assassination mission, because we've talked about that in the comments. But no, instead it's her literally trying to become a better wife. And I will say, Anya just sitting there like moving Bond's head around. I've done that with Huckleberry so many times where I'm just like, nee. They don't like it, but it's a very realistic gesture that she's doing. I'm also like, and he's like, we don't eat until Yor gets home. So, and she's like, tell me what we're having for dinner, Bond. So I do like this aspect that is kind of, what's interesting about this is that Anya, even if she sees the future through Bond, she can't necessarily understand what Bond is thinking or interpret the dreams or the future sight because she's not a dog, right? And he doesn't speak English. And so, yeah, you're coming home and her looking gloomy with the gloomy somber. As soon as she had the gloomy somber expression, I'm like, oh, well, she's not killed anyone because she's totally fine with hiding that and has been fine hiding that for like decades. So that's not the case. And then what really gave it away was the hand. Like the hand with the cuts and stuff. I've watched too many episodes of the Great British Baking Show to know that those cuts and stuff is from handling like the silverware and the knives. Also, Yor is an assassin, so she would be able to like handle a weapon and use it properly and not cut herself. Like that's her whole profession. It's just ironic that she can't handle like a potato peeler, but she can handle like a blade, right? And that's what's funny about it all. And so of course Yor's like, oh, well, should we start dinner then? And she's like, I'm not hungry, so you guys go ahead and eat. And it's like, aw. And Loid's kind of like, what's the deal? What is the deal with her? He's like trying to figure out. And then so Bond seeing her crying was actually from her being so overwhelmed and happy from seeing them react to the meal that way. That's what he was seeing. But Anya's like, why is she crying? And Anya's like, oh my God, what do I do? What's going on with Mom? And then, of course, she's sitting there looking at the hands. I might lose those two. I was like, quit trying to bait and switch me. She just wants to become a better cook because she's obsessed with being like a good mom and a good wife for the family so that she can keep the family so that she can keep being an assassin. So, yeah. So that's the one thing. Is that Loid does not know much about Yor's personal life and vice versa, and they don't really pry into each other's personal lives either, right? The other thing is that Loid is constantly telling us that we can't fall in love because this family is temporary. We can't afford to have attachments, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm just waiting for the moment that Loid and Yor get attached. I'm waiting for that moment. It's not happened. But I feel like it's not going to happen until the very end of the series. But I'm just like, okay, Loid, we get it. He's our constant reminder of the distant angst that's, plaguing us with this family. And so I like Camilla. Camilla has grown on me in this episode. She's a little Cinderay. That's what she is. She's a little Cinderay. And it took this episode to make me realize it. But yeah, she's not a bad person. She's just a little Cinderay and, gets jealous and things like that. But when the girls ask her to go out for drinks, she's like, oh, I can't. She's like, sorry, I'm good. And they're like, oh, didn't you say you had a date today? And she's like, oh, yeah, no, he canceled on me in the last minute. She has been teaching Yor to cook. And I think that says something for Camilla because Camilla had in mind that Yor was going to come over. And so she canceled her plans. She could have easily, not been home for Yor to get help from, right? But that wasn't the case. And so then, yeah, of course, Yor going to the grocery store. I was, getting all the food and everything and being so downtrodden because... And then, of course, they do everything to make you think she's killed somebody. Like, the blood, the sack with the stuff at the bottom of it. It's like, come on. Her with the downtrodden face. And the moment you see Camilla, it's like, no, clearly Camilla's helping her cook. But they frame it like they're partners in crime. I really like Camilla in this episode. And her husband is like MVP. Her husband is the nicest guy. Like, he really loves Camilla. And he loves that she's a little Cinderay. He's like, you're real cute when you're all Cinderay like that with your little badger face. Like, yeah, he's so nice to her and so kind and helpful. I'm like, that's awesome. But yeah, Yor is afraid. It goes back to Loid being stuck in the bathroom the whole day. And Yor's like, it's my fault. And it's like, girl, it is not your fault. Mm-mm. But yeah, and then of course the husband being kind to Camilla is like, oh, my wife's a great cook. And it's like, Camilla's like, don't do this. You get to taste all the food. But instead... They brought Yuri over because who would be the best food critic? Why, Yuri. Yuri's been eating her cooking for years. So, and he's so cheerful and jovial. Like, Yuri just puts on such a show, such a facade, right? Mm-hmm. This episode, though, with Yuri and the cooking is so funny. And of course, Yuri finds out about the cooking. I also want to make note that in Camilla's house in the doorway, she has like a little rabbit and a little bear doll there. Like she's the rabbit and he's the bear. Freaking cute. But yeah, she's like, oh, don't tell. I'm just trying to secretly get better. And he's like, curses, she wants to cook for Loidy. I was like, Loidy. He still calls Loid Loidy by his pet name. And he's like, now I'm conflicted. He's like, I want to help my sister and prove she's a great cook, but I don't want her to cook for Loidy. Oh my God. I'm waiting for Yuri to go back over there and talk with Loid and them. And we haven't seen him meet Anya yet. So also minestrone. I know I've had minestrone before. Would that be the soup we'd start with? I wouldn't have started with minestrone. I'd probably have started with like potato soup or something that's real easy, not something. I also love that she just buys, like, you can see the tomatoes. The tomatoes are busted. She bought a cactus, a fish, rope, like she's gonna go murder someone, a chocolate bar, and rock salt. She bought rock salt. You didn't need rock salt. I just love that yours seems like an impulse buyer. Like yours would be that person that would go to the grocery store and like, you know, they have that little aisle next to the register that has just knickknacks and junk that you don't need, but they're hoping you're going to have like a last minute impulse buy. No, I just imagine that cactus yours was like, yeah, I might need that, and the rope and stuff. Like she would be that impulse buyer, right? God, that's great. I love Camilla calls her out for it. She's like, why do you even need this? And she's like, I thought a variety of ingredients would be important. And she's like, have you listened to anything I've said? And then asked her to peel the potatoes. I love that, like, the peeling the potatoes, like, gets blood everywhere. I'm like, get this girl a bandage. Like, how can you mess up? But she's used to killing people and things can be a little bit messier, right? She's like, this weapon's so hard to use. And Camilla's like, it's not a weapon. It's a potato peeler. I also like, again, little tiny details with Camilla's house. She has like some Picasso-style artwork in the background. Like, girl is a art connoisseur. And of course, Yuri brings some bandages instantly. He like has a first aid kit on hand, right? But she's like, I am handy with a knife. And girl can slice it so thin. The meat, she can slice it though so thin. I'm like, oh God. I feel like it's a great call to the ED, right? Where they're making the food. Like, girl can chop some meat. Oh my God, you're slicing it way too thin. Cut normally. And he's like, you're amazing. Like, I like Yuri just pops in and be like, you're the best. Camilla's like, I'm instantly regretting all these decisions of having your brother over. And then she cuts through the cutting board. Like, and of course, yours like, oh, I'll pay for it. And Camilla's like, that's not the point. And then, yeah, he's like, you're amazing, sis. And then I like that the husband's like, they're all getting along. It's all great. And she's like, what is wrong with you? How'd you ever get married? Leave. And yours like, oh. And then I love that Yuri was like, the moment Camilla starts like remotely being trash talking or rude to Yuri's like, who is this woman? She's being rude to my sister. Maybe I'll execute her. The comedy in this episode was just so on point, especially with Yours Kitchen. Like the comedy, oh my God, that it's just Yuri and these two. Yeah, but like there's a radish and all this. You're helpless. Just give it up. Like, you might as well divorce that hottie. Everybody understands that Loid's hot. Everybody understands it, right? And she's like, no, I can't. And then, of course, Yuri's like, wait a minute. That's a great idea. Get her to divorce him. It's great. And then, of course, that's not what she wants. She's like, no, I have to do this. And I love that Camilla, in that moment, even though she's been joking with her about divorcing Loid, she sees in that moment, she's like, oh, dang it. She's like, you really like him. I'll help you because we're friends. Again, I gave Camilla a really hard time in the first couple episodes because she was so like ridiculous. But now that we see like a solid amount of time has passed, that she actually is a good friend to Yor, I'm like, that's really sweet, actually. So good for her. But oh my God, the creation that she has made, that I'm assuming is from the radishes, of this purple putrid creation. I don't know if any of you all, I'm reading Heaven Official's Blessing right now and I've watched the Donghua season 1. If you have seen that series, the main character, Shi Lian, without spoiling anything, is a terrible cook. And this looks like something he would make. Although I'm like, who would be the worst cook, Sheelian or Yor? I don't know. Sheelian's had a lot of practice and still is bad, but that just looks ridiculous. And then Camilla's like, I can't touch that. I love the husband goes, Yuri, you're up. He doesn't even try. He doesn't even volunteer. He's like, nope. Instantly says, nope, not doing it. Yuri, it's your turn to eat it. Make sure it's not poison. I mean, make sure it's delicious. And he's like, oh, really? And then, oh my God, I love that they're like, is he going to die? And then I just, his face where he's like, like just his little chomp face. Oh my God, I can't. I need a photo of that. That is just Yuri. Of course, Yuri has had all these years to deal with his sister's cooking, and she's the only one. He wants to make sure his sister feels good, and she's the only one making food for him, so he's had to tough it out. Yuri, he's just like, it's so good, but like he has the veins coming up on his forehead and his face, and he's sitting there, he's throwing up. He's like, it's really great, and they're like, this takes me back just like your old cooking, and they're like, oh, you're throwing up though, which is it? The fact that he is eating it as he's throwing it back up, and it's the sparkles and everything, and he's just rocking and throwing it. God, that's funny. That's so funny. Oh man, that got me. That got me. And they're just like, maybe we try a bite of it. How bad could it be? And they're just dead. Like Yor doesn't even have to like they're just dead. Like Yor doesn't even have to assassinate anybody. She can just give them her cooking and they're dead. And it's over. And they're like, no. And so I love she's like, let's try. She's like, maybe minestrone. I love what does Camilla say there. She's like, you weren't ready for minestrone. How could you end up with that? Did you listen to a word that I said to you? No. And then, of course, Yuri's like, is there any more? Like, he's ate the whole thing. Oh, my God. She's like, you weren't ready for minestrone yet. Let's try something like meatballs. How can you mess up a meatball? It's got, like, some breadcrumbs and meat and maybe cheese or parsley. You can't mess that up. And then it just looks like a SpongeBob episode where it's like not the nasty patty. It just looks like something awful. And then Yuri's just throwing it up while he's eating it and he's sweating. He's like, it's so good that I'm sweating for unknown reasons. Oh, the more I savor each bite, the more I see my life flash before my eyes. It's so good. It's so good. Yeah, and he's turning blue in the face. And he's like, is that you over there, Mom? And they're like, you're going to die. Stop. Camilla's like, isn't there? And then Camilla says, is there something that your family made that you can think of? Like, she's like, I guess your sense of taste is messed up because this train wreck was the only one eating your food. I love that Yuri is called a train wreck. It's just perfect. This episode, this half is perfect. And she's like, oh, I figured it'd be fine as long as he's getting all the right nutrients. And he's just sitting there throwing it all up. And of course, he doesn't want her to feel bad, so he's just eating it all like it's fine. Oh my God. And she's like, well, do you remember anything that your parents made? And I love that we get a little brief glimpse. We get a little shot of their mom. And Yuri's like, well, I can kind of remember. It's sad that Yor doesn't. It's sad that Yor doesn't remember. But then we see their mom, and she has like the long hair, right? And then them eating the stew. And little baby Yuri's little head looks like a little apple. It's so cute. And Yor kind of has like an Anya vibe to her, right? But there's the soup with the fried egg and like little sausage and everything. And so they try making that. And Camilla walks her through it. And then Camilla makes note. She's like, you're not as robotic and boring as you once used to be. Like something's different. Like you're a better person. Like what's going on? And she's like, oh, what? Maybe. She's like, I guess it's just because I got married. Because she has a family now. And I love that Camilla's like, what are you humble bragging about? She's like, you got a hot husband and a kid? Shut up, quit bragging. What are you humble bragging for? I actually like Camilla a lot after this episode. This really got me onto her character. And her husband's like total MVP. She's like, I just thought you changed your makeup or something. I love that her husband comes in like, I see. He's like, you're a fine, lovely lady yourself, Camilla. I love it. She's like, oh. And he's like, hey, this actually smells decent. Like it might be edible. And then what I like about this too is that something's missing from the stew, right? Like it's decent, but she's like something missing, and she asks where yours from. Yours like Eastern, like Nileburg or something. And she goes to the fridge and says, oh, well, over there in that region might add sour cream to it. Like she knows. Because that's such a thing, right? You know, if you've ever had like different regional, like just even, we always had like, you have like potatoes. We always made like Texas potatoes, but I'm nowhere near Texas. But we always had like Texas potatoes, and it was like potatoes and cheese and sour cream. And like you put like sometimes cornflakes or something over it, or like crushed crackers. You can make like a potato dish. We always called them Texas potatoes. Why, I don't know. But ours always had, my grandma's always had cornflakes over it. It was like potatoes, cheese, sour cream, and maybe bacon bits sometimes, and then like crushed up cornflakes over it, and it was baked. But I've seen people use like crushed up oyster crackers over it, or some people will do like, some people have like different ingredients inside of it, like chives or something. And so depending on where you're from is how the dish is different. And so I like that kind of just adding that little thing about it being a regional dish and adding that to the mix like that. And that of course is what sets it off. And I love that they go off on their merry way. And Camilla's like, I'm so exhausted. Like I helped my friend learn how to cook. I'm exhausted. But you know, and the husband knows that Camilla was really happy to help her friend. And then he's like, you're being really cute right now. He's so freaking cool. I like her husband. Like good on him. He's just really cute. And she's just like, meh, 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 like she's being tsundere. Okay. So meanwhile, Anya's like drooling from the mouth, like about to pass out from hunger. And Loid is teaching Bond to stay and then eat, right? And Bond's like, well, it looks like he's naturally intelligent. Okay. Sure thing. And then he says, I'm going to start defense training him immediately. Like Loid's like, all right, you're somewhat smart. Time to make you a defense dog. Loid is taking no chances, wanting to keep Anya safe. And then Yor comes home, and I like that she admits, and I love that she says, she's like, she sets the dish down and says, Loid, I'll make dinner tonight. And she's so excited. And I love that both Loid and Anya are like, shocked. They both say shock at the same time. That's so cute. I like Anya and Loid. Or is Loid taking after Anya? And then it all comes out in the wash that she was learning how to cook. And again, that answers Loid's question of where has she been. So next time she's out late, he's going to be like, oh, are you learning to sew? Or like something like that. He's going to question, you know, what's the deal? I love that she does make the dish. And she tried to get the fried egg. It's a little sunny side up, but she tried. And for the first time, like so far, we've never seen Loid and Anya like so struggling with a dish. But he's like, it smells safe. Like Loid's just been eating out of the kindness of his heart, but he's really been terrified of what she's cooked. And I love that Anya's like, my last supper. But they eat it, and it's actually good. And they compliment her, and Yor gets all teary-eyed. She's so happy that they actually genuinely liked her cooking. Like, she just gets all teary-eyed. It's so cute. Like, I love that her cute little face. Aww. As the teary eyes, and that's what Bond saw. He's like, oh, what's wrong, Yor? And so she's like, I thought I needed to protect this life so I could continue killing. She's like, I thought I was just doing this for the family because it would let me keep my profession. She's like, but now that I see them, like, acknowledging me and smiling, she's like, that makes me happy even more. Oh. And then she said she made her own dessert. She's like, oh, I feel a little more confident now. So, as the wife and mother of the Forger family. And it's like, and Loid's like, oh, well then I'm going to continue to count on you. And it's like, you guys are freaking cute. And she's like, I actually made a dish if you want to try it. And it didn't look that bad. It looked like maybe those are teeth around the edge of it. And it's a pile of poo. But I thought maybe it might be something decent. She's like, oh, it's a dessert. It's an original dish I came up with. Nope. Stick with the mom food. Ah, yeah, Loid and Anya just like, just collapsed in the same position. Oh my gosh, it's great. Poor them. But I tell you what, as fun as that episode was, the start of Franky's story, where Loid meets him in the alleyway, And Frankie's just sitting there with the cigar, which he's been getting cigars at the place that the girl's from, that she works at. And Loid's like, what's the deal? Why'd you call me out here in like my spy clothes? And Frankie's like, I fell in love with a girl. And Loid's face! Loid's face! Oh my god! It's the Anya face! Oh my god! It's Anya's face of shock. Anya and Loid have the same shocked face, and it's amazing. But yeah, he's like, uh-huh. Okay, I see. Good for you! Oh, and Frankie's like, no, hear me out, damn it. I love it. I love Frankie's like, I want to have a successful date. And he's like, you're a pro. Tell me your secrets. He's like, yeah, okay, well, you just work hard. Bye. And so Frankie's like, come on, you insensitive jerk. And then at first he says, don't make me sell your info to the secret police. And Loid like turns around like he's going to kill him. He's like, I'm just kidding. But that thing you wanted me to make, I won't do it if you don't help me. So yeah, I do admit with Loid that he knows all this about her, which knowing her age and where she works and her name is one thing. That's pretty appropriate. Knowing her birthday when you've not gone on a date with her is a little bit crazy. Knowing her blood type is a bit much. And then knowing her weight and exact height that's a lot. Yeah, and knowing where she lives, it's like, yeah, you're a little bit of a stalker. And her favorite movie, when you've not even talked to her, is like, I'm kind of with Loid, where he's just like, yeah, and her childhood nickname, he's like, you're a stalker. He's like, you do the same thing. And Loid's like, I do that for missions, not about people. And that's the thing, too. He's like, I do it for missions, but not about, like, actual people I'm with. So that explains why, like, he had to dig up dirt on Yor before they got married, but he doesn't pry into all of her life, right? He separates work from everything else. And Frankie just really wanted to get... I like that they have to establish they are whispering. Like, in the actual episode, they're yelling and, like, banging their fists and being loud. But in the actual episode, they're like, no, nobody can hear them because they're actually whispering. Which is good, because he drops the name Twilight, like, 3 times. I'm like, Frankie, don't say that too loud. And so Loid comes up with a strategy. Of course Loid has a strategy. That's the thing. Loid would be the guy that would plan out, like, how to woo someone. He's like, how to lose a guy in 10 days sort of thing. And the tree of question and answers, as soon as it like branched out to 32 answers on the one sheet, I was like, oh, Frankie's not doing that. No, not at all. But yeah, Frankie's like, no, you can't do that. I can't just memorize an entire script to say. And so Loid offers, he's like, well, I could disguise myself and give you like hints from behind you. And Frankie's like, well, I don't want you hearing our conversation. Which is true. That would be kind of like, prying. But also I wonder if Frankie was like, if this doesn't work out, he doesn't want Loid to know that it doesn't work out, right? And so they practice with Loid disguised as her anyway. And Frankie's just like, huh. And so, yeah, I felt bad for Frankie. Because he goes to see the girl. He goes to the club to see her. And, like, is all, like, blushy and stuff. And you could tell he, like, tried to ask her out. But then he gets rejected by her. That's really sad. But I love that Anya's like, an ooting. Let's go to an obstacle course today. Let's do training there. And she's like, okay. But then, for the record, Frankie looks great in that suit. It has a very, like, Joseph Gordon-Levitt style to it. He looks very Joseph Gordon-Levitt with, like, the short cropped pants with, like, the socks and everything. The socks matching his bow tie and his glasses. It's really cute. And he's like, oh, my date. He's like, I just asked her out and did all this. And then Anya, like, reads his mind. And Anya we don't even get the courtesy of knowing how the date really went and how it really went down. Anya just patting him and, like, about to cry. Girl, the empathy. I'm like, oh, buddy. And he's like, what's your problem? And then he goes there to get the cheap beer to drink it off, right? And, man, Loid is, like, the best friend. Loid is the awesome guy he is. Because... poor Frankie's like, I'm broken, I have no girlfriend. And he's like, here's a Macallan 18 years on the rocks. Like, that 18-year-old scotch and whiskey, that's the good stuff. That's the expensive shots. But it's like, oof. And he's like, I can't afford this expensive-ass drink. And he's like, it's from over there. And for a second, I thought it was going to be the girl. For a second, I thought it was going to be the girl, like, go back to him and ask him out. I thought that was going to be the case, but Instead, it's his best bro. It's Loid. When he says, he's like, oh, hey, what a coincidence. With the blush on his cheeks. I felt like drinking too. He's like, Loid. Don't say his name in public. I love this where he's like, what happened to the obstacle course? And he's like, oh. He's like, yours taking care of it. Which means that Anya's disappeared. Anya is somewhere halfway across the city and yours scrambling around trying to find her right now. That's basically what's going on. That's what's happening in this. But this is such a sweet, tender moment between them. He's like, why'd you come here to laugh at me because I got rejected? And then Loid has to come in with the angst. At the last 2 episodes, Loid has come in with the angst. I'm like, dude, I want Loid to have some optimism and happiness. He has been like, Loid the last 2 or 3 episodes has been like very, very like lots of ennui, right? He said, you say so yourself. He says, people like us can't become personally attached to others. Which is a shame because I want him and Yor to fall in love and him to like be Anya's dad forever. It's like, even if you did go out with her, it probably wouldn't work out. Ugh. Says the guy with the wife and kid. But that's the hard part. He's like, they're just part of his mission. That's the part that sucks. It's like, they're just there until the mission's over. Oh, so sad. He's like, damn it. I'm going to get drunk on your dime today. I'll keep you company. God, it had a very big Bungo Stray Dogs vibe. If you ever watched Bungo Stray Dogs, there's a scene where they're like in a bar together. Has a very similar vibe. But I'm like, Frankie and Loid, best bros. Best bros forever. Aw, that's so sweet. So yeah, that was really, really cute. Those episodes were really cute. Of course, Loid and Frankie's has to have like the sadness to it, right? But I thought that was really cute with Yor learning to cook and try to become better and better and like bringing something from home. And that's kind of the thing too, is sort of that understanding of something, bringing something from home with you, that idea, that concept of family can carry on from one generation to the next, right? So, and Loid's kind of struggling with that right now because he has this family, but it's not real. And he's trying not to get attached, but is he? So yeah, and I'm glad Frankie got some focus too. Bless his heart. That's so sad, but this two-parter, this little two-haver was really, really cute, and I really, really enjoyed it. Oh. So I guess maybe next episode we'll have a new arc starting. I'm watching this, a few days after it came out, so I haven't seen the new episode 17 is not out yet, so I gotta wait till the weekend to watch it. So the good news is I'll be able to see the comments for episodes 14 and 15 this weekend, and hopefully by the time I get to the next episode, y'all have some comments to read for that one. So that's exciting. But yeah. Felt so bad for Frankie in this one, but I'm glad that he has a friend like Loid. I'm glad that Yor was able to have a friend like Camilla too. That was the thing too. They both had really good friends. They had good wingmen. Camilla's a great wingman for Yor, and then Frankie's a good wingman for Loid. How about that? So I'm curious to know your comments down below, but I hope you all like this reaction discussion. I'm pretty excited. Hopefully next episode we start a new arc. It's 17, so 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. We still have 9 episodes left. We still have 9 episodes left of this season. So that's still a long time to go. So, I'm curious what we're all going to get. But in any case, I hope y'all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'll be back very soon with more Spy Family. Bye.